Welcome to Straight from the Source. I'm Hayley Watts, and with me today is Mike Gallagher, who's an Anderson City Council member. But right now we are talking about why you're running for Shasta County Supervisor for District 5. That's a bigger area, for one thing.
Yeah.
How did this get started for you?
Well, that's a great question. A great question.
Big decision.
It was a big decision. Been on the city council for 7 years now, and was a planning commissioner prior to that. So part of the reason was I'll have served the city of Anderson for 12 years. We moved there in 13 and was appointed to the commission in 14. So with that, really felt strongly like if I'm going to serve the county, it's now. My age
Yep.
is one factor, that's important to me. I want to serve well, and I also felt like a third term as a city council member probably wasn't for me.
Okay.
Just.
Well, so 7 years on the city council, right? And a third term that not for you. Does that mean you feel like you accomplished what you set out to in that role?
I think we've done really well.
Yeah.
I'm proud of what we've accomplished. We've built, if I was to go through the list, we've built a splash pad that's free to the public.
Uh-huh.
We do rent it out occasionally for private parties, but that was a major accomplishment for our Anderson River Park. We remodeled our band shell where we do our mosquito serenade concerts in the summertime. We're super thankful for that and proud of that project. We've done some repaving projects. We've rehabbed a well recently that was really needed. So I feel like we've done really well. And so, I think it's time to move up. If we're going to do it, now is the time.
Okay. So you've worked in local government. You've dealt with constituents coming to you probably constantly with things they want to see happen. And you know that it's not all in your power. It's not like you get to make all the decisions just because your constituents want something. How have you kind of navigated working with the other city council members and finding compromise? Yeah,
that's, in government, that is the constant. A collaborative effort to find that middle ground is really important. And prior to government, we figured out how to do that in the private sector with a community center that my wife and I had in the Bruce Street neighborhood of Anderson, which led to being appointed to the Planning Commission.
Okay.
I could tell you briefly about that, because I think it helps to answer the question that you asked. In 2011, we purchased a home in a neighborhood that was generating 80% of all the police calls for service for APD.
The home that you purchased was generating?
No, we did not live there. Okay. We purchased a home and created a, yes,
you
right?
guys must have been having a lot of fun.
It was, but what had happened is we had asked the police chief, where's the most pain in the city? And he said, there's 4 square blocks that are generating 80% of all our calls for service. So we were able to purchase a home and create a community center. And we began to see real change in that neighborhood. It took a while, but we saw violent crime dropped 63% over the first 5 or 6 years that we were there. And we did that for almost a decade. And it was really life-changing for us and the neighbors and our city.
So I know that I'm kind of cutting you off from the other question I asked, but I want to hear more about this because I know you said you worked like in roofing, you own a company, right? And you did like HVAC installs and roof installs?
Yes, I was a service tech in the HVAC industry.
Okay.
Then I got a contractor's license and was able to, I actually had a company that fabricated and installed metal roofing.
Okay, wow.
It was great.
And so from that, when you and your wife decided, hey, let's make this investment in our community and try to make a change, had you decided to kind of retire from that and move on to something else, or was it on top of everything else you were doing?
No. So the roofing company, we closed that down in late 09 because the 08 crash hit, and that business was, nobody was spending money on metal roofs. They're expensive. They're one time, but they're expensive. So I had the time, which was great. My wife had a company that she had sold, and so we had some resources to actually purchase the home. And so, and most importantly, it was what made that successful was the collaboration of volunteers. We collaborated with the public. Shasta County would send people to our. We didn't take any money, but they came and did classes and programs there at our community center, and it was wonderful. And we saw. It's important to know we worked mostly with people who were at risk of going homeless. That was our focus there, to help people learn life skills. And my wife actually wrote a curriculum out of that called Future Story, and it's really powerful curriculum. So yeah, lots came out of that.
Is that community center still running right now?
It is not.
Okay.
Yeah, we went about it almost a decade, almost to the month.
Yeah.
And it just kind of tapered off. We saw lots of people get a lot of healing and help to move on in life, and then crime went down, and houses were being remodeled, and the neighborhood really shifted. Property values went up, which is always great, and so that was really a big part of our life for a decade.
Yeah,
we really did that. But I was able to serve there for about 7 years, and it was good. It was really it was very rewarding.
Right.
I would tell you, and I think that led to the city saw what we were doing and said, "Hey, who are these people?
Yeah.
Maybe we should look into who they are."
Yeah.
And it was really a fabulous season in our lives.
Okay, and then you were on the planning commission, right?
I was. Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me, so this is something, it's so funny, like just being a run-of-the-mill homeowner, my husband and I were always talking about things like, God, it would be so cool to build like an ADU on our property and do something like, I know there's a need for housing, but oh my gosh, by the time we pull all the permits and X, Y, Z, it's gonna be 5 years down the road and $15,000 down the road just to even break ground. And that's, we live in Chico, and I'm not trying to throw Chico under the bus or anything. I just know that that's something that a lot of people in all communities worry about, like so much red tape. Where do things stand in Anderson right now?
Yeah, great question. The state has paved the way or opened up the way to do ADUs and adding add-ons to our homes. They've kind of streamlined that. What Anderson did is we actually streamlined our process in doing that. Fees are, we know that. We've been going through that in Anderson. Nothing to hide there. It's just the fact is you have to. Government isn't there to make a profit, but we also can't lose money.
Right.
So we have to. It's a break-even kind of a thing, and we were finding that our fees were a little low in Anderson. So we've been working really hard with professional outside consultants to figure out how we can do that. But to your question, one of the main things we did is upgrade our technology we call it the second floor in planning, and make it a more streamlined process that people can get through fairly easily. It is expensive to build. There's no question about that. But there's. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
No.
Well, so it's interesting because it's interesting that you have a passion for this or a background in this too with planning, because for county supervisor, you'd be running for the seat that Chris Kellstrom has right now, right?
Correct.
And that's been something that he's been very vocal about, is streamlining planning. I mean, do you guys align on that, or is there something that he's not doing that you think could be done differently?
Yeah, I haven't seen what Chris is doing. I would take my answer to that question would be I will take what we've learned and done in Anderson with me. That experience, I think, will greatly help at the county level. Again, remembering one person doesn't get to choose. That's the beauty of our local governments. It's a board of 5, and we can bring our individual strengths to those and our experience. I have a lot of experience in that, which I think will serve all of Shasta County well.
Yeah.
And that's my focus. I'm going to focus on what Mike Gallagher can bring to the table, which is a collaborative effort. We've worked really well with staff and outside consultants. The reality is that sometimes we need those experts, those third-party experts and third-party actual articles, that give us the confidence to go, this is really how we need to move forward. We're very fortunate in Anderson. Our staff is brilliant. We have some of the best in the businesses that work at staff level, and we bring in our consultants to help with that, and it's been very effective to get Anderson where it needs to be as far as being really ready when contractors come and want to build in our city. We very much streamlined that, and I think we're pretty friendly in that area.
Yeah.
It's challenging. It's a challenging season, and I think I would assume Chico, like Anderson, like Reading, and most of our North State, we've seen construction drop off in this last year or two, couple of years. So it'll come back. It always does, and we'll get to building again, and we're aligned really well in Anderson to see that happen.
So in Shasta County District 5, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that's where the county is considering, or the sheriff had pitched, building the additional facility, right, for inmates, kind of like work program, something that I think a lot of people think could be a great thing, but a lot of people who live in that district say, well, we don't want it here.
Right.
What's your take on that proposal? Do you think that piece of land could work and that people would be okay if it went in there, or do you think, hey, no, not in District 5?
I think the property would work. I think the people are frustrated.
Yeah.
And
It's a tough one. It's a tough situation, the not in my backyard sort of thing, right? Because
100%.
we want these programs, but nobody really, we have kids and we have concerns about people.
You've done your research, and I have too. I've talked to some of the neighbors, and I've talked with the sheriff, and it is a very complex situation. If we're just chatting, one of the frustrations that I have in this situation is understanding how we got here, which was because the state closed down 14 state penitentiaries, and they're trying to close down another one. They put that burden on the counties, all 58 counties in California, to take care of a lot of folks who really need to be in a state penitentiary. Our jail is full of really folks who shouldn't be in a county jail.
Okay.
And that is the ultimate issue. And so Sheriff Johnson trying to do the workaround to figure out how to also protect our local citizens. You know, we have about 5 or 6 people in Anderson that are a nuisance. That's just the truth. They,
like repeat offenders.
Repeat offenders. They're not necessarily violent, but they're
catch and release. Steal something, drugs. Yeah.
Constant, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know Sheriff Johnson is doing his dead level best to figure out how to work around that, but we are limited in that capacity to serve our citizens with, hey, we shouldn't just be releasing these people. We should be holding them at least 72 hours, get them clean, do some other things. So, but that is because the state of California decided to do what they did with our prison system and close them all down. So it's a frustrating situation. I haven't had a vote in it, just for the record. They've already chosen. Mike Gallagher's yes or no, or maybe, is irrelevant at this point. That's the truth. It's it's a little frustrating to be in that position, but I think we have to wait and see how this plays out.
I mean, would you like to see this facility built somewhere in Shasta County at least?
I think every county across the Fruited Plains needs one of these facilities, and I really like the design. I like Sheriff Johnson's idea about the day center, where, hey, you don't get to just run around the streets. You're going to come to a facility, and you're going to get rehabilitation. Right. And I'm really a big fan of that. So
I feel like it could be such a good thing, because you think about it. I mean, I just try to imagine the type of life for somebody where all you've known is you've got a criminal record. It's really difficult for you to get a job. You're arrested for something, you're released, you have no money, you have no food, you're hungry, and what you know is maybe stealing or something. That's how you're going to get your next
Yeah.
meal. Or you're addicted to drugs
Yeah.
and it's painful.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like the compassion, but just being realistic. Like, there's
Right.
got to be a way besides just locking someone up behind bars and then putting them back out on the streets where we can actually, you know,
Yeah.
for the benefit of the community, give
Yeah.
this person a shot at having a normal life.
Yeah. One of my platforms is domestic violence. Our Shasta County, we're 5 times the state average of domestic violence.
Wow.
That when I hear these numbers, Hayley, it grieves me. You know,
Yeah.
this is a and it draws down all the resources in Shasta County. That particular thing. Now, we have lots of issues, obviously, but that one right there pulls on our schools, pulls on social services, pulls on the police, who are always the first responders,
Yeah.
is our sheriffs and our police department. About 8% of calls in Anderson are domestic violence calls. We don't, we have to care for the victims, and there's really, really great folks working in that space, and I will support that, and we have to do that. That's number one. You always support the
Yeah.
victims. You have to do that. That's a non-negotiable. We also need to be looking out for those who are at risk of really becoming victims and giving, you know, opening up some resources where they could go, hey, I'm not feeling safe, and working with that group as well. And we did some of that in the neighborhood, you know,
Yeah.
that we dealt with a lot in that neighborhood. But my conviction, I will say the right word, my conviction is we cannot punish people into good behavior.
Yeah.
And I think in that space, and probably many others, it's if we're, which is why I like Sheriff Johnson's design, if we are just locking up without finding some counseling, you know, some psychological work, you know, what happened, and getting them healed, this problem is going to continue. And it's one that every time, I can just tell you, every time I hear about our domestic violence issues in Shasta County, there's something in my gut that goes, not right. That's
Yeah.
just not right. I think there's something missing, I guess, is what I feel, and I want to find that and go after that.
Yeah.
And I think
Now, what
one
could
of those.
What could it be locally? Like, why? Because when you think of domestic violence, just
Yeah.
so people understand, I mean, this is any sort of situation where,
Sure.
whether it's husband and wife or even roommates, right?
Yeah.
People who know each other and
Yeah.
have some sort of relationship where you
Sure.
would assume they care about each other, harming each other.
Right.
Like, what? Is there any sort of data that shows why Shasta County has a higher
Sure.
rate of that?
Well, we know poverty, you know, a lack of resources is
Yeah.
a big factor. That often couples with substance abuse,
Okay.
right? And yet I would say oftentimes we don't ask, why are you self-medicating?
Right.
We go, you should stop self-medicating.
Yeah.
And I get that, and they should. There's a program in Utah that, gosh, the director's name is right on the tip of my tongue, but he says compassion is doing something for somebody that they can't do for themselves. So when you have a situation where drug abuse, alcohol abuse is causing other issues, you hold that person long enough to get them clean
Yeah.
so they can make a right decision to move forward with some kind of a program that gets
Right.
them out of that tyranny of repeat offense.
Right.
We don't do that very well in California, I think across the Fruited Plains.
Yeah.
And that's so figuring that out. I don't have all the answers today, Hayley, but I do believe we
Right.
can do better.
I'm wondering if, because I know Shasta County
Yeah.
keeps talking about how to spend opioid settlement money,
Yeah.
and they've made some decisions, but I think more money is coming over the course of a certain period of time. I mean, is that
Yeah.
something we could see you pushing forward if you were elected?
Sure. Yeah. We again, if you don't get to the root of the problem will probably grow back.
Yeah.
And I think the root is not just substance abuse, it's why people are self-medicating.
Right.
And when we can get them healing, I think we'll see dramatic change in that. And we saw that in the neighborhood. Again, we'd take that experience forward. We saw where people got, where we could get where we had relationship enough to get them to face whatever that offense was early on, usually early in childhood, and forgive those folks who abused them and hurt them. And then we saw almost instantaneously, and I could tell you testimony after testimony about folks just moving forward in life. Like that, they got that behind them and off they went and grew and became much more productive for themselves. It's not about us, it's about them.
Right, okay. Well, Shasta County is very interesting when it comes to the government because there are some very vocal constituents, right? And some of the people, board members, current and past, over the last, 5 to 10 years, we've seen, especially through the pandemic, some kind of wild times. And I'm not talking about specifically the leaders or specifically the people, but just there have been different, like very activists coming to speak and holding protests in the chambers and supervisors just sparring with each other. With the current board in place, if you were elected, do you feel like you'd be able to work well with the other people and for your constituents?
Sure. Great question. Yes, it's a little volatile in the moment. Everybody knows it. The whole state knows it, by the way, and most of the country.
Yeah.
I'm not sure famous. I don't like that word because that's not what I want Shasta County. I love my county. I love my city, and I love my county. As an avid outdoorsman, I want us to be the big brother that the rest of the surrounding counties.
Famous for what we should be.
Famous for what we should be, not what we're famous for in the moment. But to that, I think we've kind of borrowed the phrase, peace in a conversation, right? I'm pretty easy to talk to, and I don't have to agree with everything somebody thinks. But if we could get back to the art of a conversation, I think we could go a long way to restoring Shasta County government to what it needs to be, which is we serve all the people. It's a nonpartisan seat to begin with, so we have to look out for every citizen, including those who are very vocal right now. They're part of the mix, and I think I'm a little grieved with. I'm very grieved with the time that we're giving speakers. If there's more than 10 right now, they cut it to 2 minutes. I think 3 minutes is the minimum. If you have to sit there for 10 hours, then that's what you said yes to. We don't, I think the fact that the folks who do come, even if they're very passionate and about their position, they're showing up. I absolutely believe they should be given a minimum of 3 minutes, and that should not be infringed.
Is that pretty standard in most counties, in Kenton County, or?
In government, the Brown Act recommends it. Now, as chair, you're given some leeway. But it's just cutting that time only adds fuel to the fire. It doesn't bring water, and I think a little water would be nice, to just. How about we just let people have their 3 minutes, talk, and then, give them that. Give them that. I don't have to agree with them. That's not, agreement can't be the goal, by the way, Hayley. Understanding is what we should be going for, and I'm not quite certain we're there. But we've got a lot of experience with that. We did many years of having to find out, actually understand where somebody else is coming from. It's not about agreeing. It's about understanding. And in this short time that I've been in the race, I've had amazing conversations with folks who we don't agree. Some of my best friends, we don't agree on everything, but we do lunch and we'll talk for an hour and go, we're probably not going to make it there, but golly, look at the 70% that we do agree on, and we could get a lot done in that. And I think we've lost that art of conversation. Maybe not lost, but it's not being executed very well in my estimation. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I feel like I try to avoid the echo chamber, right? And I love the fact that my best friends might feel completely different about a certain issue, and I love and respect them, and I hear where they're coming from. And even if, like you said, I might not, even after the conversation, I might not still completely agree, but I totally see where they're coming from. And, that helps. People have so much anger, right? And they have so much frustration. I think it's because maybe they just don't understand their, the other side. So
and I think if I can, to that point, when we don't have the conversation, we hear a snippet and then we make an assumption and we run with that, label somebody. I've probably been guilty of that.
Oh.
I'm pretty over it, and I'm working very hard not to do it. But in government and in politics, sometimes it could be easy to do that. I'm working really hard not to do that.
Yeah.
But there's also situations that are just what they are. Yeah. And I'm running because I want to change some of those things and bring, like I said, just peace in a conversation to the mix.
One thing that's been not so peaceful has been like, how do we run elections in a way that people in Shasta County feel confident that the vote is correct, the voter rolls are correct, and that everything's getting counted? Right. We've seen a lot of things change.
Sure.
And with that, we have a new registrar of voters who was appointed, but that's up for election, I believe, right now. Yeah. From what you've seen over like the past year and some of the new things that have been implemented, how do you think things are going, and would you do anything differently?
Well, that's a great question. Where we're at currently is it's going to go before a judge.
Yeah.
My understanding and all my research shows this is going to go back before, I believe, Judge Hanna.
Like the ballot initiative that would basically make all these rule changes that would defy the state.
Yeah, and counties are an extension of the state. My concern is that we're trying to change state law from the county level, and all my research, I'm not convinced that that's allowable.
Yeah.
And that's why it's going to go before a judge. I think some simple changes like voter ID would be great. I think I have no problem saying that. The current situation, though, is going to be decided in the courts.
Right.
And I hope that we can move forward with that. I think some of the changes that people are passionate about really do have to change at the state level.
Right.
That's just the bottom line as far as I see it. Others will argue, and I'll be called out on that one, by the way, Hayley.
Yeah.
They're gonna tell me I'm wrong and I've misinterpreted, Article 11. But I think if we could get a ruling in the court, move forward, but don't stop pushing on it. If we want change, I'm a huge advocate for if you want change.
Yeah.
Work hard at it, but change takes time.
I mean, theoretically, a group of petitioners could start circulating and getting signatures for something that would be on the statewide ballot, right? And take all those suggested changes but all Californians would have to vote on it, right? Like the measure that will be before Shasta County voters likely, if everyone in the state voted on it, then it would be fine, right? Because it would change the state law. But if it's just Shasta County, then it doesn't work, even if voters approve it.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
We don't push laws uphill.
Right.
And that can be very frustrating at the local level. By the way, I have sat on the dais and had to make decisions, mostly around housing, which we were talking about earlier, that the state just said, this is your mandate. And by the way the state operates is, and if you don't, we'll just fine you $10,000 a day.
Oh, I see.
Oh yeah, that's how they police them.
Yeah.
So when you're a small community like Anderson or a smaller county like Shasta, we're not LA County, or San Diego County or San Francisco County or any of these the major 11 counties in our state, it's very important to me that we watch out for the taxpayer dollar.
Yeah.
But it will be litigated. This particular topic is going to be litigated, and I hope that we can come to a decision in the court and then move forward. Like we still have a county to run.
Yeah.
We still have a county to get back on track, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So now when you say back on track, we've talked about planning a little bit. We've talked about public safety in terms of crime and voting. What else do you see that if you were elected that you would really want to make priorities?
Yeah, it's on my platform. You can go to votegallagher.com and read about that. But for the sake of our conversation, public safety has been huge. Anderson is one of the safest cities. At one point, it was in California, and our sheriff, who was our police chief at the time, built a wonderful police department that was very effective, did what the voters wanted. We passed a 50-cent sales tax that helped fund not only our parks and recs and our public offerings, but also 50% of that was going to our police department. So we have a very safe, clean city of short response times. They're very less than 5-minute response times most of the time, and we're very proud of that. So public safety for me is a non-negotiable, and I've said it this way, Hayley, it's every possible resource we can afford to get to the people who are boots on the ground is my priority, absolutely my priority. Those folks that are out there patrolling. And when it comes to the sheriff's department, they cover a huge area. It is just, when I think about the literal distance that they have to cover, like we need to support them with everything we can.
I mean, do you think more money should be allocated to it so they can staff up, or just potentially?
I think it's all of the above. We've instituted body-worn cameras. We got grant monies in Anderson, and we went after that. And we took some of the cash that we had to leverage to get those, and those are a huge thing.
Yeah.
And resources like that. Yes, more boots on the ground, never a bad thing. I'm always going to push for that. If we can afford it, then we should do it. And so, I'm just passionate. I have a huge heart for the folks who are doing the hard work.
Right.
I love the command staffs. I love everybody.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me be clear. But it's the person who's going out to that domestic violence call that can be very dangerous for a police officer. I want them to have everything they need to walk away from that, go home to their families, and I think resources, whatever those look like, is really important to me. So,
do you think Shasta County has the ability to kind of reallocate money to support public safety better, or do you think we need sales tax initiatives and that sort of thing?
That's a great question. I don't have hard numbers in front of me. I think there's my experience, even in Anderson, when things are really good, you expand.
Yeah.
And when things tighten up, like we've had over the last 3 years, you tighten the belt. And we've done that. We actually cut $1.6 million out of our budget of $10 million.
Yeah.
So this is what you do when times are tight. And very proud of our staff, our city manager, we're able to do that. Now we've not backfilled some positions that came open, but we have not laid anybody off as well. Now, lots of people worked really hard to get to where we're at, and we're on the right trajectory to then be on the upside again, and things always turn around, and when they do, we're going to be very well positioned to take advantage of the upturn when the economy turns back around. I think we need to do that at the county, and it's easy to find fault. I just want to go in, figure out where the resources are, and see if we can.
Yeah.
I guess to answer your question, I have to get elected first, Hayley.
Right.
And that's what I'm going for. I am researching though. I'm doing deep dives into the elections, into the programs. I'm grieved that we didn't get the True North money. I heard yesterday, and I just heard it through a text, so I've reached out to a few people. But how are you aware of the True North project?
I knew about the project, and I knew about their proposal, and I thought that the last that I had heard was whether or not the county wanted to even support the initiative. And I don't remember where things left off. Did the county basically decide not to?
Well, the majority changed their mind after a lot of resistance and maybe unwarranted, and I think that that had the potential to save us millions of dollars in that realm of mental health
Right.
care for our local folks and folks from outside of our area as well.
Did the state reject a plan? Get me up to speed on the
Well, that's
latest
a
thing
good
that
question.
happened.
So I just literally heard that
Maybe
we
that's a story
just
for
didn't
today.
get the 150,000
Okay.
or 150 million dollars that was going to be then partnered with private money
Right.
from the. So I just heard that yesterday.
Okay.
So we'll
Yeah.
see.
I'll start investigating as soon as we finish up
Please
here.
keep me posted, and I will too. I'll get
Yeah.
if I find out, I'll let you know.
Okay.
But it when I sat down with Kimberly Johnson and she kind of explained how, because my concern was like, how are we going to help people? Like I get a facility, I understand that, but how? And she explained all the different pods and how that was going to help individual groups of folks. We're in desperate need all across California for facilities like this to
Yeah.
help people that can't help themselves.
Right.
Like that's compassion. I said
Right.
it earlier. Do for somebody what they can't do for themselves. Well, if somebody's having a mental episode,
Yeah.
they need care.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're paying for that already at the county. We're paying out millions and millions and millions of dollars out of our budget to send people out of county. This was not going to cost the county a dime and was going to save us, potentially over $1 million a year in just not having to pay it out. So we're paying it anyways,
Yeah.
and we could have saved a lot of money. And I'm a little grieved about that. I have a huge heart for folks who are struggling with mental illness.
Yeah.
It's real. So
We'll have to find out exactly where things stand and if it's
Yeah.
completely off the table or if it's just another
Yeah.
hurdle and there's an
Yeah.
option B. I'll
I
look
haven't heard-
into that. But, that would have helped people who are dealing with mental health issues.
Yeah.
We also know that just people who have regular old health issues are having
Yeah.
a tough time finding care, finding
Yeah.
a primary doctor versus, or a specialist,
Yeah.
cardiologist.
Yeah.
In terms of what the county's doing to make that better right now, what are your thoughts? I know that there's talk about a medical school potentially.
Yeah, I think that's important. I obviously we need doctors, right? People need to get care. I had a little concern that we spent $40,000 on a consultant, and we really didn't get much for that.
Yeah.
That is a concern for me. That's some of the wasteful spending that it's like, some would say, well, it's only $40,000 out of a $300 million, $600 million budget. Well, it's still $40,000 of taxpayer dollars. So
Yeah.
I'm concerned about that. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. There's obviously a need, but I'm sure the need is across the fruited plains. The good news is they're actually having conversations about it. As a blue-collar guy who grew up in Los Molinos and spent 13 years as an HVAC tech, I mean, I'm just as concerned. We are losing 10 journeyman plumbers to one coming back into the mix.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Just because they're retiring and nobody's joining the field?
And nobody's joining the field.
Okay.
If you watch Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs, Mike Rowe, he did a very fascinating report where the U.S. I want to say the military. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But they want to build submarines. They need 140,000 trained workers
Okay.
that are in grammar school right now. But are they going to learn how to be pipe fitters and welders and
right.
that, or are we going to send them down the engineering path? We need
Yeah.
HVAC techs, right? Because the heat is going to continue to come. So I have a real concern that what's going to happen is we're going to be spending $1,000 on a service call for a plumber,
Yeah.
and we're going to pay it because we need a plumber,
Right.
because we can't do
If-
that work for
if
ourselves.
young people are smart, they're going to go to trade school, I think. I mean, especially with, you see AI, right?
Yeah.
Like you talk about, we don't really need engineers. You do, of course you do.
Of course,
but there's so much that
Yeah.
AI can do, but what
Right.
it can't do is actual technical jobs,
Right.
And
Yeah.
if people, gosh, when I have stepsons who are like teenagers, like 19 and 16, and I keep trying to push them, like, get a skill that you
Yeah.
can offer that the
Yeah.
AI cannot offer.
Yeah, because a computer can't plunge a toilet.
Right, right. And
By
as
the way,
simple as that
just-
sounds, I mean, being an
Right.
electrician, being a
Yeah.
plumber, I mean, these are
Great fields.
These are great fields, and you are an expert. And there's
Yeah.
nothing. It's for some reason I think
Yeah.
for a long time everybody thought, oh, get the 4-year degree. You don't want to go to trade school because
Yeah.
you won't be as successful. I think it's the opposite these
Yeah.
days. I think learning that trade, you're gonna be rich.
100%.
You know?
And I went, myself and my two brothers, we all went to a trade school in Arizona. I'm sure it's more than it was back then. I won't tell you what I paid to go, but it was a stretch back
Yeah.
in my late 20s. But 13 years in a trade, I loved my work. I
Yeah.
loved that. And then climbed on roofs for a couple of years and loved that.
Yeah.
I was a craftsman on
Yeah.
top of it, and it was really good work. It's hard work, but it was good work, and
Yeah.
and we made good money doing it. So, I think changing the narrative, and there's great people working on that narrative. Mike Robe just being one of them, who's a big voice, but locally too, I will push on that as well. Like we have to get to the schools, get that out there. Hey, there's no shame in being a solid tradesman, and they're making 6 digits now.
Yeah, right.
By the way, it's not like you're going to go
being transparent and
Yeah.
educating people about how much money you can make. I think
Yeah.
that will help change
Yeah.
the narrative, right?
You will live well.
Yes.
You'll work hard.
Really
but
will.
nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's probably a narrative that we lost. It's not bad to work hard. My son-in-law is a lineman.
Yeah.
He worked pretty hard, and he takes really good care of
Yeah.
my daughter, and I'm super grateful for that. you know?
Yes.
So
Yeah, that always seemed like a fun job to me too. I've been to the linemen's rodeos that they do.
Okay.
Challenging, really challenging work, but yeah, it sounds like it'd be fun and interesting. So is that something as a county supervisor though you could help make happen? Like, are you talking like bring in trade schools to the area or that sort of thing?
Yeah. I don't know how the public-private dollar works in that space yet. We always have to be careful with that, because there's always somebody that would be against. But if we can, we should, absolutely. Because it does have a direct effect on the citizens of our county, right? Our citizens need services and servicemen and women. There's a plumber right across the street from my home in Anderson. I think he has 2 gals that are doing it, and I love that. There's no reason. It's not gender specific, and I'm super grateful for that. So yeah, pushing on that, supporting where we can. If nothing else, we have a platform that we get to at least speak about it. Whether we can funnel monies to that. They are funneling money to the doctor's school. They're spending, I believe they're spending money on pushing that narrative, and that's a great narrative.
Yeah.
I'm not against that, but I'm concerned in 10 years, we're going to have 1/10 of our service tradesmen and women. That is a concern for me.
Yeah.
It's a real concern.
Okay, so as we wrap up here, is there anything else that if people vote for you that they can expect to see you really fighting for?
Yeah, I think one thing that we didn't really talk about is our streets and roads. Public infrastructure and public safety. It's critical. I will push really hard. I love to drive through the rural neighborhoods and through the mountains, and I was just driving up 99 in Tehama County. I was like, they just paved this. I remember when they paved it, and it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
And so finding how, and I have a number of years serving on the CERTA board, representing Anderson on CERTA, which is the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency. I'm not sure what Chico's is. It's their Metropolitan Planning Organization,
Okay,
for
yep.
big words.
Yeah, BCAG maybe down here? Or is that different?
We
You
go to
counties?
BCAG,
Okay.
and you go, and our counties go to BCAG, but this is where the monies from all the buckets funnel into and then get dispersed.
Got it.
But when it comes to streets and roads, I was trying to remember them. There's four categories that get money before our streets and roads.
Okay.
So it's California.
Yeah.
It's how it works. I would love to see some of that shift, because what happens is we don't get quite enough money to do the projects ourselves. We get just enough that we could leverage a grant to then go do that work, and that's the system. I'd like to see that change. I think we could pull from areas and get money back to our local road departments and let them get out there and fix roads.
Yeah.
And that's where I will be focusing quite a bit of attention, because I've complained about it for a number of years, Hayley. So guess what? You know,
Yeah.
be cautious of what you complain about. You'll find yourself in
Yep.
government. So there's
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, Mike Gallagher, thank you so much
Yeah.
for your time. And if people want to learn more or reach out to you ahead of the primary, what's the
Yeah.
best way they can do so?
Yeah, go to votegallagher.com and we read up on what we have, and there's ways to volunteer, sign up. We'll get back to you. Got a fun team helping me out, and a shout out to my lovely wife Deanna, because she's my campaign manager, and she's working very hard at it as well. And yeah, so really grateful for the opportunity. So
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Thanks for listening today. I decided to offer this podcast after enough of you let me know that you wanted a deeper dive into certain stories than you get on our TV broadcasts. We elect certain people to represent our voice, but who are they really? My hope is that this podcast answers that question. I love your feedback, and I want to know who you'd like to hear from next. Just fill out that comment section and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify.